anyone out there is wondering how Americans are doing, poorly. We are doing poorly. Yesterday, I woke up to an email from my landlord saying, hey, I'm raising your rent. Why? No fucking reason. We already pay all of the utilities ourselves. That is not included in the rent. So we pay for electricity and we pay for water and we pay for natural gas to heat our home. And that bill in particular has fucking skyrocketed this year. Every single month this winter, it was over $600. And we do not turn the heat on. We just turn it so that we can fucking survive. We do not turn it above like 60. So we're fucking freezing in the house all fucking winter. Oh, and also I woke up this morning to an email from my health insurance being like, thanks for your payment. It was deducted automatically, except this time the payment was $400 more than it was last month. Sorry? What's going on? So I called the health insurance company and I was like, why did this happen? And they said, oh, well, the tax premium expired. I called the New York State Department of Health and it was just whole fucking rigmarole because they intentionally make it so opaque that you just have to spend all of your fucking time and energy just navigating this fuck-ass bureaucracy and trying not to get fucked more than they're already fucking you. I got my new IUD yesterday. So I'm like, well, I need the fucking IUD because I cannot afford to have children. Obviously, meanwhile, the fucking psychos over at CPAC are like, hey, you dumb bitches, leave the workforce. Better yet, never join the workforce and shack up with the first chud you meet in high school and start popping out babies that we know that you cannot afford because they're all fucking psycho Christian nationalists. The experience of being a working class American is to just be squeezed for every single dollar that you have at every turn. And you're like, just wave your arm and you just run into another fee that you were supposed to pay. And where does that money go? Straight to the fucking top, straight to the fucking billionaires who do not create jobs. In fact, they keep slashing jobs just to invest in fucking AI data centers. I don't understand how we're not out in the streets all the time.
I felt every single word of what that young lady said in my bones. Hi, I'm Suri Crowe and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. You know, politicians keep talking about the middle class. What middle class? It's the working poor like her, myself, and probably many of you watching. And then there's the rich people. Seriously, the middle class is dead and dying. Who are these people taking luxury vacations and buying new homes and cars when the rest of us are barely able to afford to keep a roof over our heads, put groceries in the cabinet, and healthcare? What is that? Ever since Republicans shredded it to pay off the billionaire class.
I'm not gonna fucking make it in this fucking world because, like, tell me why I just went to fucking Kroger's and got groceries. I just got paid today, my last fucking paycheck, and I spent $73 fucking on popcorn, crackers, Cheez-Its, milk, ranch dressing, tomatoes, just basic shit, man. Like, a box of fucking Cheez-Its and a box of fucking crackers was $5 a fucking piece. The ranch dressing was fucking $5. The tomatoes were $4. The milk is $7 a gallon and my kid drinks 3 gallons a week. That's $20 fucking dollars. Like, how the fuck did I barely get any goddamn food and it's $73 fucking dollars? Like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
For those in her comments telling her to buy beans and clip coupons, stop. Just stop. You're missing the point. This is not a budgeting lesson. This is a working mother in America who just got paid, walked into the store, bought snacks and milk, and nearly cried at the register. Cheez-Its, ranch dressing, tomatoes, and milk. Not Wagyu steak, not lobster. Cheez-Its. Is the new American dream being told that Cheez-Its are a luxury item? Attacking her choices is exactly what they want you to do. They want you to argue about what she bought, so you never have to ask why it costs so much. People love to critique the cart because it's easier than criticizing the system. Her not being able to afford milk is an issue. $7 a gallon, 3 gallons a week, that's over $1,000 a year just in milk for one child, one basic non-negotiable item. This woman isn't asking for luxury. She's asking to exist in the country she works in without having to do grief math every time she reaches for a box of crackers. And yeah, people are going to say, cut out the extras, but the extras keep getting redefined until the only thing left is survival. That's the scam. Because first it's don't buy snacks, then it's don't buy brand names, then it's don't buy convenience food, then don't buy meat, then don't buy anything fresh. At some point, the messaging becomes, if you're not miserable enough, you're overspending. Wages didn't go up, prices did. And that's the story. Don't let anyone flip it into a lecture about her grocery list. If a working parent in America can't buy milk, tomatoes, crackers, and ranch without feeling like she got robbed at a grocery store, the problem isn't her cart. The problem is the country.
Grief math. That is such, like, that just hit me in my chest. Like, hit me in the comments if you know what grief math is. I do, because I do it all the time. If I buy this, can I afford this? If I do this, will I be able to, like, you know, put gas in the truck? Whatever. I mean, this isn't living in America right now. It is surviving in the wealthiest country in the world. Are you aware that according to Forbes, Donald Trump has made $6.5 billion off the presidency? That is repulsive. He's up 1.5 billion just since last year. This, while millions of Americans, like I said, don't have enough to put food on the table or keep a roof over their heads, are making decisions between, do we pay the power bill this month? Or do we, buy essentials for the kids to go to school? America has been careening toward a failing financial state for the working class for decades, ever since Reagan began redistributing wealth towards the one percenters. Remember that whole trickle down thing? Yeah, well, it's total bullshit. He did it through tax cuts and loopholes for the rich. And ever since then, the rich have been getting steadily wealthier and wealthier. And now the bottom is falling out on the rest of us because we are the ones who are propping up this parasite decamillionaire and billionaire class up. Kamel Abdul Karim allegedly set fire to a California Kimberly-Clark warehouse full of paper products, causing $750 million in property damage. Here is a snippet of the video that he allegedly took while he was allegedly doing it.
Should have paid us enough to fucking live. We may not get paid enough to fucking live, but these bitches dirt cheap. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to fucking live. All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
That is bad. Oh my God, ojalá todos se salieron.
Whoa. There were so many people on social media who supported what he allegedly did. And that's because the working class has had it. We're at like a revolution point, people. Here's just a couple of comments that I pulled from socials. When a CEO is murdered, a warehouse burned down, and the working class rallies around the suspect, that's a sign your society is begging for revolution. And the CEO being murdered he's referring to, I think his name is Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, and Luigi Mangione is now facing charges and trial for that. And you saw all the Luigi memes, people loving on Luigi. And then this person posts, I don't know, I just find it a bit absurd that the man who set fire to a warehouse full of toilet paper is facing more immediate consequences than literally any of the men in the Epstein files. And then there's this headline, everyone is replaceable. Death rattles Oregon Amazon facility. A worker recently passed away while he was on, the line at a Oregon Amazon facility, a warehouse there. Just another horrific example of the billionaire parasite class. And employees spoke to the Western Edge Substack publication, saying that within moments of this employee crashing down to the floor with what they described as a severe head injury, they were told to turn around, not look, and get back to work. Some of these employees were CPR trained. They wanted to render aid, and they were like, no, just go right back to work. And here's a quote from one of those employees who said, it makes me feel more ashamed to work there, knowing that people can drop dead and we have to carry on. I mean, people, what are we doing? This has been the culture of Amazon for so long. Quit Amazon, get off of it. And I've struggled with this myself, but Jeff Bezos does not care about his employees at all, clearly. And then just going back to that warehouse fire, Qasim Rashid posted this. Kamel Abdul Karim allegedly burned $750 million in property. Had Kimberly-Clark paid its 38,000 employees enough to live, it would have cost them $750 million, still leaving them with $2 billion in profit. Abdul Karim's violence is criminalized, but corporate economic violence is praised. And then he has a link, I guess, to his Substack there. But it really does show you the disparity between corporate economic violence, where they can just grift and steal from us and take advantage of workers. And then when people hit their breaking point, as some of these people do, they're immediately thrown into cuffs. And again, I'm not condoning what they did. All right. Just let's be clear here. I'm not saying, hey, everyone go light up a warehouse, but immediate, consequences. I mean, if you remember when Luigi Mangione was arrested, it was like a scene out of Batman. There were like a phalanx of cops and like helicopters. But if you look at the backstory of how many people, and I see this still constantly all the time, how many patients have died at the hands of United Healthcare because they were not given the healthcare. They were denial, like all the time. I see it constantly, how United Healthcare and others, let's be clear, it's not just them, how these managed care insurance corporations, all they give a shit about is their bottom line, so that their shareholders and their CEOs are making millions and billions of dollars. And so there's no consequences for that, but the people who have had it, immediate consequences. It's just, the paradox is wild. So Bitchy French, whom I'm assuming is French, he writes this: in the US, people earn vacation days, earn them like a salary, like rest is a reward you collect after proving that you have suffered enough. In France, vacation is a right. It exists like air. You take it because you are alive, and alive people need to stop working sometimes. At what point did everyone in the US get on board with the lack of labor rights? And I think we're at the point of exhaustion where millions of us are working all the time without a break and have very little, if nothing, to show for it. And I think it's why leaders like Bernie Sanders, who has been preaching this for decades, Bernie Sanders' message hasn't changed. Why AOC and Zohran Mamdani are so popular now, because people are like, whoa, you're right. And corporate politicians, through their actions, have demonstrated that under this capitalist system, we have only seen corporations, their CEOs and their owners make yet more and more and more and more and more money off our backs. That the wealth equality gap has just grown and grown and grown and grown. And you follow Robert Reich, the former Clinton labor secretary, he's always putting out these comparisons about how wages have stagnated like from 40, 50 years ago. And yet CEO pay and shareholders and these owners have just made more and more money. It's like, they're parasites. They're making money off the people who make them the money. And now we have a corrupt Trump government that just approved with the Republicans. They did this in the middle of the night while we were sleeping, another $140 billion, sending that to DHS on top of the $200 billion that Congress under Republicans funded to the DHS ICE agency last year under Trump's big ugly ass bill. Like, it is no other agency in the world has this much money. But the point is, you're sending billions of dollars more to DHS and ICE. Well, literally millions of Americans don't have enough money for the basics, don't have enough money for essentials. This is so, I could just go on. Anyway, here is Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
I don't let myself think too much about what Republicans seek to portray me as. Mm-hmm. I think about the fact that the power of an ideology is judged in the worth of its delivery. And delivery, at the end of the day, is every single thing that we want to do. It's why I spoke on Sunday about pothole politics as a way we describe the work that we do. Because for a long time, Republicans have sought to describe themselves as being driven by the needs of working people, when in reality we've seen a chasm in what they've actually delivered for those people. I mean, look at the war in Iran today. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a federal administration that has spent close to $30 billion killing thousands of people at a time when working class people across this country cannot afford the bare minimum. And to be told that a city-run grocery store is implausible, but spending more than $500 million a day to kill people in Iran and Lebanon is not only plausible but necessary. It speaks to a broken kind of politics. And what we're showing is that we can put forward not just our principles, but also the practical impacts of this work. We can deliver universal childcare and change 6,700 catch basins. We can take on bad landlords across the city and start to repave more than 1,000 miles of roadway. We can do all of these things where we've been told in the past you could only do one.
A couple of things. He gave this interview a couple of weeks ago. Some of those figures have changed. It's no longer half $1 billion a day we're spending to kill Iranians and Lebanese. It's $2 billion. It's $2 billion of taxpayer funds a day that we're spending on this illegal war that we got dragged into by Israel. And he said 30 billion. The number, when I last checked, is like 40 billion. Probably 45 billion by the time you see this video. And, but his points are accurate. And this is why New York Mayor Mamdani is one of the most popular politicians in America and extremely popular in New York, because every day he shows New Yorkers what he is doing to carry out his agenda. What he promised, he's taking action on. It takes a village, right? He has to work with the state and federal government, but he really is doing what he promised New Yorkers he would get done. And what he is doing is democratic socialism. There was somebody in one of my videos recently who was like, no, Suri, don't say that. Why not? Because that's exactly what he's doing. He is showing New Yorkers that government can and will work for them when it's not working under corrupt government officials. And we have been so abused for so long by corrupt politicians. We're not used to seeing government do what it should, which is to use our tax dollars to work for us, not to be abused, which is what we're seeing in the Trump regime and through Republicans. We're being abused by our tax dollars, and we're being abused by ICE, by DHS, by the Trump regime. They're stealing our money. But what Mamdani's government is showing is like, yeah, we're going to fill in potholes. We're going to get buses running. We're going to have, city owned and operated like co-op grocery stores. That is how government is supposed to work. That's the whole point, people. It's called democratic socialism, and people freak out about the word. Don't. Go back and study history. Quick history lesson here. The reason why FDR was so wildly popular and why he was elected to count them, 4 presidential terms, was because of his socialist programs like Social Security, because of the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, which Trump has now thrown out the window, because of the FDIC, which ensures and protects our money in banks, making sure that your money is there, because during the Great Depression, people lost all their money. This is what FDR came in on that agenda, that he created the National Labor Relations Board to protect unions and workers' rights. He tried to expand the Supreme Court. Republicans had a fit. And ultimately, they enacted term limits because people didn't want FDR to leave office. Sadly, or he died in his 4th term, the 2nd year of his 4th term. But people were so happy with FDR. They were like, let's just keep him there, because he was demonstrating to Americans that government can and should work for you. That's the way it's supposed to be. So please, step off oh my God, don't use democratic socialism. No. And then LBJ took the torch from FDR, because sadly, President Kennedy wasn't in office long enough to do it. And then he built Medicare and Medicaid and other democratic socialist programs that Americans have come to love and rely on. Yes, even these poorly educated, ignorant Republicans who keep voting against their own best interest. Keep your government hands off my Medicare or my Medicaid. What do you think? What do you think you have there? Or your SNAP? These are all programs that we pay into that then give back to us. And that's the way that it should work. We are the only nation in the Western world that doesn't have universal health care, that doesn't have affordable free education. And ever since we had these beautiful programs put in place for us that were working for Americans, Republicans have been chipping away and just dismantling these socialist programs. Socialism is not the same thing as communism. Okay. People really need to look up and educate themselves on what we're talking about. Because what we're living under right now, people, is a dictatorship under a fascist regime. And if you're enjoying that, seeing the parasite class take our money, take our taxpayers, seeing Donald Trump sue the IRS and get paid $10 billion on top of the $6.5 billion he's already made by stealing money from us, seeing Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Alex Karp, all of these freaks steal our money, then go right ahead. But, the majority of Americans do not want that kind of system. We're living like Russia now. I mean, this is gross. People living in huts and not able to put food on the table while the billionaire class makes more and more. Stop falling for this bullshit. We have the right to have government programs take care of us. That's what a good, just, humane country does for its people. It takes care of their people. And if you just talk to people from around the world, they're like, what Like American exceptionalism is thinking that we've got our shit together. We really haven't. Not ever. Not since the FDR days. We haven't. And we've just fallen backwards. We're the wealthiest country, y'all. And yet we're living like paupers while the parasite class gets on their super yachts and jets off. And someone like Jeff Bezos, who is nauseatingly rich, grossly rich, doesn't pay his employees enough to take a break and has people dying on his warehouse floors and people are told, keep working. There is something intrinsically, morally wrong. We need a moral and just government. And we have to be the ones that stand up and fight for that. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but Mayor Mamdani, he's showing how it can be done. Anyway, all right, I'm done. My socials are below. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys back here soon. Remain fierce. And as always, peace.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.